All right, coaches, just make sure we've got everybody. All right, find a seat and we'll roll. All right, just a little something to remind you why we're here, right? So we did a great job last year. That was last year. This is the new year. I want the guys that are here from the team from the past, which is most of you, to remember all the hard work and dedication that you put in for that season. Nothing says that you can't run it back. Right? That's what we're shooting for right here. We're going to do it. It starts tonight, and then dedicate yourself as we finish up this season. Likewise, with all this COVID stuff, dedicate yourself to that. Keep your faces covered, man, and let's not shut down the NFL. We got all the talent in the world right here, and we want to take full advantage of it.
Fascinating look at the new reality of the National Football League, Peter. The face shields, the face masks, and that's the way it's going to look all year long. Hard Knocks is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. So the season is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen. The draft today, the teams that actually could benefit from this upside-down, topsy-turvy, unpredictable NFL season. I'll give you the first pick, and off we go.
I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. The reason I'm taking the Broncos, Mike, is because, you look at the COVID map right now, and the COVID map has hot spots all throughout some very hot spot NFL regions. The state of Florida with 3 teams is on fire. The state of Texas with 2 teams on fire. Southern California with 2 teams on fire. And so Nevada, on fire with the Raiders there. But, and look, I'm not just picking on those. They're everywhere. But the point I was going to make is that if you look at a map of COVID cases in the United States, there's very, very few. Colorado has done a fantastic job against COVID. I'm not an epidemiologist or anything like that, but that's one of the few places in the country that you can travel in and out of without having to worry about quarantining when you leave there. So I just say that I think there's an advantage to playing for the Denver Broncos and knowing that you're not going out into the world and, having to worry about so much about getting gas or maybe doing a pickup meal to go. So to me, and the fact that they have totally remade their offense. If Drew Lock is any good, this is going to be an explosive team.
Yeah, look, I'm surprised by your pick. I understand the reasoning, and there is something to be said for being in a location that is currently doing well against the virus, although the one thing that we've seen over the past few months is it's subject to change. And one of the things I heard on the news this morning, the hot spot moving from the Sun Belt up into the Midwest as it peaks in some of the areas where it's been really bad lately and maybe begins to migrate elsewhere. I'm just going to, the more uncertainty, the more chaos, the more upside-down twists and turns, the more I have faith in Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, even with 6 guys opting out, even with more possibly joining them. It's the ultimate do your job, next man up, no excuses, no woe is us. They got Cam Newton. They're in a place where the bars and the restaurants for indoor seating aren't open and likely won't be open, so that reduces the temptation. Belichick will do a great job of making the players accountable, of making the team leaders, make the young players accountable. He'll weed out the guys that he thinks could maybe create the risk of bringing the virus into the facility. They will not screw around. They will have a plan for everything, and their plans will have plans, and their plans will have plans, and it will all be buttoned up. And they will, unlike any other team, I think, find a way to thrive through these rules. And look, we know someone's going to do it, Peter. The very liberal use of injured reserve, great opportunities to stash players this year because you can put anyone on injured reserve with the ability to return after only 3 weeks. Whatever the rules are, we know one guy who's going to figure them out immediately, and he's going to use them to their full advantage and push the limits. That's Bill Belichick. That's why I feel like the Patriots are going to be fine, if not better than they would have been in a normal year.
Man, I don't know who's playing for him, but we might be able to pick if the Patriots finish 9-7. I know who's going to be my coach of the year this year. That's all I can say. I would go next with the Kansas City Chiefs just because I think the Chiefs have more of a margin for error than other teams in the league do. And, even though they've lost Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, they've now lost Damian Williams, the 100-yard rusher from the Super Bowl, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to clinch that game. That's a loss. But to me, I think that they were already in such great, solid shape because of what they didn't lose from both their coaching staff and their team. My feeling is Patrick Mahomes coming into his own, knowing and understanding how much talent he has on his side. My way of thinking is when I look at this team right now, I think they're going to have a good, solid, long run at greatness, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not real comfortable with the multiple players who are predicting 6 or 7 championships like Chris Jones or Tyreek Hill. I mean, look, they had to do it the hard way last year, down double digits in every postseason game, including 24 in the first half against the Texans, down 10 with 7 to play in the Super Bowl. So it's not easy, especially as the target on your back gets larger and larger. But they do have the table set. They do have the continuity, even with a couple of their starters on offense opting out. I understand what you're saying there, and I think Andy Reid will be a very strong voice in making sure that guys are responsible. And Patrick Mahomes also, as the team leader, unquestioned, will be holding the younger guys accountable. And he's still one of the younger guys, so the younger guys are more likely to listen to him than some 35-year-old quarterback trying to lecture to a 22-year-old. All right, next one for me. Man, this gets difficult, and I feel like I need to use an NFC team, but, we had him on earlier in a clip from his press conference yesterday. I got to go with Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin does not get enough credit for his ability to hold together a team that easily could implode at any given moment. He somehow kept Antonio Brown pointed in the right direction for a decade, and as we've learned over the last 18 months, that is a Herculean task in and of itself that no one else is capable of even attempting. You throw in what happened last year with Ben Roethlisberger gone week 2. Look, Mike Tomlin takes his guys, he coaches them up, no excuses. He's going to keep that virus out of the facility. He's going to hold his guys accountable. He's going to make sure guys go home and stay home. And whatever adversity comes their way, he's proven that he can thrive in it. And I think he's ultimately going to shrug at this because he will be certain that his guys do everything that's expected of them to keep the team healthy and keep the team pointed in the right direction.
Mike, I'm going to stun you with this pick because it's your team. I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings. And it's kind of odd seeing that 4 days ago, the guy who's in charge of all of their infection control in the building, Eric Sugarman, tested positive for COVID-19. But I feel pretty confident that that was not at the facility. Be that as it may, however that happened, there's something about being in a place. 2 weeks ago today, I got a tour of the Vikings training facility and how it was set up. Basically for, to battle COVID. And you have been in this building, Mike. This is like 4 or 5 warehouses, not just the building, but the practice fields and all of the space that they have to put things in. And so to me, in my opinion, this is going to be a team that does well when it has to be in different spaces because there is so much space there. And I think the one other thing is, you look at Mike Zimmer, he's an all-time coach. But you know what? Mike Zimmer has approached this with the following attitude. Just tell me what to do. Tell me what the rules are, and that's what we're going to do. And he hasn't fought it at all. So to me, I like the Vikings because I like their space. I like their attitude. I like a lot of the leaders on this team as well because I think they're homebodies, quite honestly.
And that's the key. Guys who will gladly stay at home and guys who can influence those young players on the roster to stay at home as well. All right, the next one for me, and this, as Sims would say, embolizes the various teams that have low expectations. He said that recently. I think it was emblematic and symbolized as he was trying to say, and it kind of came out mashed up together. But hey, I've done that before. Not with that word, but with others. Any team with low expectations this year, but I'm picking Washington specifically because you've got an accomplished head coach who's been through a rebuild process in Carolina. He did very well relative to what the prior season was in 2011 with the lockout. And I just think that when you, with everything else that's going to go crazy, all these teams that we're just glossing over have the potential to have it all fall together for themselves. And I feel like with Washington, like they've been through all the crap. They've dealt with the name change. And they're still dealing with the horrible allegations from 15 former female employees of sexual harassment in the workplace. But I feel like Ron Rivera is going to get these guys focused, and we're not going to expect anything out of them. They're in a weak division. I just think Washington and other teams that are just like completely off the radar that we're disregarding have a chance, because this uncertainty is going to potentially tighten everything up, Peter. So that's my pick. Let's review these real quickly before we head to break. Peter's got the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Vikings. I've got the Patriots, the Steelers, and Washington, and more broadly, anyone with low expectations, because this is a year where truly anyone can pull it off if they can just stay healthy.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.